Hello, I'm Craig Griffin, and welcome to another edition of the Campaign for Real Qual. And with me today, I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Dangjai Anantachai as Executive Chairwoman of Intage Thailand. Her nickname is which is more than just a name. It represents a way of seeing that truly matters. Please allow me to explain. So, is spelt O-R-M in English. The O stands for observing what others miss, uncovering the human truths behind consumer behavior, the emotional, cultural, and contextual layers often overlooked. The R stands for reframing business from transactional to transformational impact through empathy and an insightful lens. And the M stands for mobilizing growth that matters mindfully, activating ideas and teams towards growth where momentum is matched with meaning. Now, that's a very creative bit of personal branding, and I can testify that captures really well the essence of 𝗏𝗏, who I've known for many years. We both live and work in Thailand, and 𝗏𝗏 is definitely one of the best presenters I've ever seen. So I can very much testify that that piece of personal branding is very much matched by what she delivers in action. So today we'll be discussing what I think is, and I feel is an underexplored area, how language and culture could influence how effective AI is in qualitative research, especially in medium to high context cultures like we have across Asia, where we're both based. Now, I think most of you are probably familiar with this term high context and low context languages, but just in case anyone isn't, let me just explain briefly. So, high context languages rely a lot on shared knowledge, context, and nonverbal cues. So, in contrast, most of the communication in low context languages comes directly from the statements made. So, English is a very low context language. We can get the meaning a lot from the actual words that are used, whereas Thai, for example, is a moderately high context language. Now, 𝗏𝗏 was recently part of a team that did a very interesting experiment, and it involved asking ChatGPT the same question in four different languages: English, Japanese, Thai, and Yoruba, which is a language spoken in parts of West Africa. So the idea of this experiment was to understand how responses may vary in ChatGPT by the language used. What a great experiment. So 𝗏𝗏, what were the key, well, first of all, very warm welcome. Thanks for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank you.
What were the key takeaways for you from this experiment, especially from your perspective, you know, looking at the Thai response versus the English?
Okay. Thank you very much. And สวัสดีค่ะ
Ready,
everyone.
Cap?
So what I see from using the same questions to ChatGPT comparison to English, Thai, and Japanese, we can really see what Kun Craig say that is about the high context and low context. What we can observe is that the English responses are quite structured and very explicit. However, for Thai is rather more indirect and some words are totally missing because what we see is that meaning is hidden in some words. It's not totally structured and laid out like English. So what we see is just like, for example, Craig has been in Thailand for a long time. When they say, let me think about it. So what does it mean in English? Let me think about it. What do you take it, Craig?
Well, yes, in English, if you say, let me think about it, I would take that literally as you're going to go away and think about it and come back with something. If you're saying that in English from the perspective of English, but there may be a more implicit, I may interpret something
Mm.
else if a Thai person says that, which might not be quite as direct. I'll let you explain
Yeah.
from a Thai
Because
perspective what that may mean.
yeah, we rarely say no. We rarely say
Yes.
no. But if we say that, let me think about that that is a polite word of no.
Yeah.
We're not going to go back to you and say, I have this idea or that. It means that no, I cannot do it. But instead of saying no, I just say, let me think about it. So give me more time or something that actually you can take it as a no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we observe from the answers from the GPT is that the Thai answers are quite like not indirect, and a lot of words are hidden, and meaning is not carried in what is said, but what is not said. So we really have to understand the context of that word, and then you interpret it further. So what we can see that the length of the answers from English is quite longer, quite structured than the Thai. On the other hand, then I asked my daughter to ask the same question, even in Thai. The answer is totally different because she's Gen Z, which is more explicit
Mm.
than my generation X. So it's not only about the cultural context. Now it comes with another dimension of generation differences as
Oh,
well.
wow, that's really interesting. Yeah. So I think my takeout from that is if you're in a low context culture and that you probably don't have to work quite as hard because the answer is there kind of in front of
Very
you.
clear,
And you
very,
don't
very
have
concise.
to you don't have to work too hard to get the
Mm.
meaning. Whereas if you're getting an answer back in Thai, then you have to use a lot more of your local knowledge, your local understanding to work on the meaning, because that's what we're trying to do, right? We're not we're trying to uncover meaning. And in the example you gave, yes, we have to interpret those words through our understanding of the context and how it all fits together and what that means. But yeah, that's an interesting point on the generational. So maybe you can. I know you've done. Uh, res I know you did your PhD in this area, so you would be an expert on this. How maybe you can share, very briefly how in a Thai context, the level of, I don't know, directness or the implicit is less than it kind of used to be. Could you share more about that?
Among the generations difference.
Yes, the
Yeah,
generation
yeah.
differences.
I think for Gen Z, they exposed to the world. I mean, through digital world, to the AI world more than the Gen X or the older generation, I say.
Mm,
So they have less like of the cultural norm than the older generation.
mm,
And the other thing is that that Thai people we are in the culture of saving face. So
yes.
face means yeah, saving face means that we for my gen or older gen we cannot lose face. However, for the younger gen, I think this one is not. So they can share their meaning more directly. They can share their opinion more directly, more openly, comparing to us. Like if you ask me something to say something, I probably feel that if whatever I say, what are the consequences? How I make you feel? Do my words hurt you or help you? In
Mm,
the contrast, on the younger gen, they probably don't feel that much because their words are shorter by the social media world.
mm, mm.
By they're using lines or anything that they use like emoticon, what you call
Yeah,
on the
emojis,
mobile phone.
emoticons. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so their words are shorter. They try to have the shorter choices of words. So it's less on a lot of things to concern or consequences are less among them. That's what I see from the language point of view. Mm.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that's
It-
that's really interesting, and it makes total sense that we've got a generation that have grown up expressing themselves in a different way than what we used to do. So we used to working a certain way with language, and a younger generation, yeah, are used to communicating via line, which is obviously very popular in Thailand, other social media, and that I guess by nature is a lot more direct because I suppose a lot of the communication is not necessarily that personal. It's it's almost mass communication in some ways, isn't it? Especially on social media. And that's so I think as a researcher, then not only do we have to be mindful of, okay, is this a high context or a low context? So let's say we're global researchers, we're doing a global study. We've got to consider how much of the meaning is in the language. That's the first kind of level, but then the generation as well. So for your example, for your daughter, a lot more of the meaning you can probably get from the language because it's more direct. But if I'm talking to maybe someone our age or even more elderly, we would have to really read between the lines about what they're meaning. And we would know how to do this because, we live in Thailand and we're used to this. But I think it highlights the dangers of or some of the possible pitfalls of when we do analysis by transcripts. Because those transcripts may in certain languages be represent 60 or 50 or
Yeah.
60%, but in Thai may only represent 10 or 20% of the meaning. So, I think this is a really important point. Do you think, Kunom, generative AI tools like ChatGPT can can it handle high context communication like we see in Thailand? Is it other ways that we can use it, ways to prompt that it can
Mm.
handle this kind of?
Yeah, I think they are a good assistants, but they have to take it as they are not mature. The AI itself is just like young children, but they are exposed to a lot of information very quickly. They have good memory, but they are not mature. I mean that their experience is limited to what they are exposed to, especially for AI like GPT something. We have to bear in mind that the the first machine learning that the first language they being taught to them is English. So very limited to the Thai and other languages. So their knowledge about Thai is very limited. So when you want to use it, you have to train them. Just like what you have to train your children, have to train the young researchers. It's the same thing. You cannot expect the good job at the first hand. You have to train them, putting the context in, and train them about this context. And like for my tips, when I ask them to do something, instead of reading the answers, I ask this, and then I tell the GPT that ask me 3 questions before you give me the answers to make sure that they get enough context what my question is.
Mm,
So I have to translate what I ask in English into like the another layer of language. So that's some tips that I learned, that you don't once you get the first answer from the GPT, it's very general, it's very English style. So
mm.
what we have to do is that ask me 3 questions you like to ask me if you are the Thai expert on this particular area. Okay. So
Mm,
then you get more prompt from them, not from me. So then it's just like learning, give them the context that, okay, we are talking about this cultural content. We are talking about this, so they get to know me more before
mm,
answering this
mm,
kind of
mm,
thing. So that's a tips. And I think these tips has to be learned and adapt all the time, because the AI is updated every day, every week. So we have to, if you want to utilize it, we have to understand how it is built and how it is processed.
mm,
Then we
mm,
can use it more effectively.
mm. Yeah, there's definitely a pattern that I'm seeing when I talk with different people, on these podcasts. So the last podcast we did with 𝗵𝗵𝗴𝗵, her advice was to have 7 to 10 different iterations using AI. So, never, her point was exactly the same. You never accept the first answer. You've got to constantly
Mm.
keep pushing, challenging that answer to get to a level that you're actually happy with. Actually, I read something yesterday from I can't remember where it's from, maybe on LinkedIn or something. Um, and what one tip that someone shared was, you can be very direct with AI models and say, that sucks, and really challenge the AI model to do better. And actually, in this way, AI is not human-like. It takes very direct feedback and will actually attempt to do a lot better. So when you can give it direct feedback and say that you're not happy with something, and it will critique its own work and look for how it can improve. And then, as you were saying, when you're also giving it the context that maybe it's missing, that is going to very much tighten and sharpen the answer. But I think there's definitely, from what I'm hearing across everything from everybody, this iterative process is really critical. Not accepting what comes back. It rarely comes back the way at a level that you feel is insightful the first time, and it's a very iterative process. And I think other people, Ray Poynter being one, has suggested that we need to have this kind of Socrates sort of approach, conversational approach, dialogue to generating insight. So I think this paves the way forward for like a model of how we need to approach our analysis. That sort of leads me to my next question. On the same kind of topic. So I think that there's a bit of a narrative that people would say that AI flattens nuance, that it's very vanilla, it's very general. But is it possible that used in the right way, it could actually help us see cultural differences more clearly rather than flatten those differences? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think there are yeah, that's true, but that's true. So, but what we can fix it instead of avoiding using the tool, we can have some kind of tactics or strategy to use with it. Like for example, I built a custom GPT, and this custom GPT, I just input them that contrast everything that I say to you. So something like, so I see the different ideas, and just like imagine that if you are English person, for example, if I can can put personalized AI, just like you are European person, if you have this concept, what do you think? Because my answer from the Thai concept, I think this like this. However, what I put in as a description of this AI as a personal helper here, I said, contrast everything I say based on your cultural context. So
Ah,
that's other things that you can do as well. So AI itself, especially for GPT, there's a function that you can have the custom GPT.
yeah.
You personalize and you make persona of that helper. So I
Mm,
probably have different 10 people helping me. One persona is a Gen Z, one persona as like a European, one persona as a Japanese, this kind of thing. And one
mm,
persona as my boss, one persona as my so we can see that the same question, although in the Thai language, the answer are totally different because they try to learn. And again, the important thing is that not rely on their answers. You have to keep inputting them. Okay, the Gen Z update is here. The Japanese update is here, something like that. So it's just like you keep training them. So that's it's just like rubbish in, rubbish out. You give the general message in, you get the general message out. So you have
mm,
to really teach them in terms of like strategy or this kind of thing. So that's my way. It's just like doing the questionnaire, rubbish questionnaire in, rubbish
mm,
output.
mm.
So the same as GPT, the general input, the general output. That's the same. Mm.
That's really interesting that you've created. Actually, it's something that's I've done as well. My example is I created a custom GPT with a persona who was my archetype client. And then basically every time I had an idea for my business, I would get feedback from my persona, or every time I write, a piece of content or something, sometimes under the campaign for 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗵, I would ask for feedback from my client, from my archetype client, what do you think of this? How could it be improved? And obviously I'd fed the instructions quite detailed in terms of who my archetype client was. And I found it very useful. But I think, yeah, you've really expanded on that, and it sounds like you're so those personas. in thinking about them in a research process, so you mentioned you've got some for Gen Z and what have you. Are you using that at the start of projects for like scoping and thinking and hypothesis, or
Yeah.
are you using it during analysis, or how are you using that?
I is on the hypothesis stage.
Right.
So we can polish the attributes that make sure that we get most of the dimension of from different, different target groups. However, for the analysis stage, we can use it to, again, I use the analysis stage on the, again, we have to make sure that I use the ChatGPT team, the confidential version, not the generalized one,
Yeah.
and not loading the information of the client. But I just use that, okay, I found out that this kind of thing. Again, I ask them to challenge me, the different answers, the different solutions, this kind of thing, and ask them why you give this solution to me. So the reason behind the answers are more important than the answer itself.
Yeah.
So I try to look into those. And sometimes, just like imagine that, okay, if you are marketing director, which are our clients, right? And
Mm.
if I say this, what would be the challenges? So the GPT will give me the challenges, and then I said, okay, let's have a conversation that I think do this, GPT this. So you sometimes just like you rehearse with your personal GPT as a
Mm.
marketing director, so that you
Mm.
give some kind of preparation for yourself, equip yourself. So when you introduce me for the first time that I'm a good presenter, sometimes in the past we have to rehearse a lot alone on with the mirror, but
Mm.
now I can rehearse with the GPT or some kind of AI that it can, okay, please summarize, you take out what I had just said to you. If the take out is very flat, so I said, okay, it doesn't, so it means that I have to do another rehearsal because it's too flat. It doesn't have any meaning. It doesn't leave any impact to the audiences, this kind of thing. So I
Mm.
think that the AI is very, very helpful in many stages, but we have to be very cautious that what we want from them. We don't want the answers from them. They are just the machine. We just want someone that we can get the challenge, take the challenge and get the challenge all the time without any anger, any annoyance, any
Yeah.
no or something like that. Mm.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That, you know, obviously at one level, there's what we're presenting. So, our key point in each slide and everything. But I think the process you're describing um, achieves two things. So we all know about possible hallucinations, but it sounds like the way you're working with it removes the possibility of hallucinations because you've got a transparent chain of thought from what has been said, what meaning has been interpreted, backed up by clear evidence. So one, you've got your proof, if you like, your chain of evidence to your conclusions, but you've taken that a second step by then essentially role playing, so
Mm.
that if you're when you're presenting it, you're really I mean, I'm sure even before AI, having seen you, you obviously internalized very well your presentation, and you know exactly what you're there to communicate. But this would be a great tool for, I think, for many people
Yeah.
to do the same. Especially for junior researchers when we start out, presenting is very hard, right? It's very scary, and we're always concerned about those questions. We're going to, what if I get asked a difficult question? How am I going to answer? But this is a really good way to practice to make sure you've got your logical thought process,
Yeah.
to throw out questions using role play, I guess you can create a persona of your
Yeah.
client and
Yeah. True.
and just get them, okay, ask me 10, I'm having a bad day, ask me 10 really, so
Yeah.
even someone that doesn't believe in research, okay, that wants to discredit you, ask me five really tough questions. So I can see so many possibilities for how this could be used to develop people, and I hadn't thought of that. So I think that's a wonderful thought. I mean, I think we've touched on already some of the ways that you're using and thinking about AI. What are the key things that you're working with your team, if you were to summarize the key advice or key training that you're giving with your team on how to work with AI? And I know we've touched a lot of this already.
Yeah, the things that I talk to the team that don't use AI as just like for summarizing. A lot of people use AI as a content designer or summarizing something that is very useful. However, summarizing thing doesn't give you any insight. So example that I told you before is that use AI in the ways of making as a persona and scenario and rehearse how to equip yourself for confidence so
Mm,
that you know what next. And if you don't know something, ask them to challenge you or you challenge them back. And the good things about AI is that you ask them to give you very negative feedback. And because it's an AI, the person, the junior researcher, don't get upset because it's an AI. However, if I give them the feedback directly in the negative way, they get very upset. That's
mm,
another cultural issue. You know that Thai people we cannot stand the direct feedback. So you have to go the indirect way before you give the feedback.
mm,
However, if you say, okay, discuss with AI why I say this, use this word, and then analyze this further with AI and come back to me. So they learn that, okay, the feedback is have many consequences and
mm,
you learn but they learn by themselves so they cannot be upset
mm,
because it's a AI. So I think that's one thing for the cultural sensitivity things. The other thing is that what we find, because we work a lot on the international projects, we have to be sensitive on the cultural issue. So as you said that we cannot just do the direct translation. Sometimes we ask the AI to do the back translation, and then we do back translation on the back
mm.
translation again. So we can really see the differences. So that's, I think, it's useful, but you have to be very cautious. What you call in Thai is sati นะคะ sati
Mm.
very
Pati, yeah.
conscious, yeah, very conscious,
Mindful, concentrate. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
how to use it. Otherwise, you get very flat or very general answer it, and if you get the answers, the same answers to anyone, it doesn't help you anything. So
Mm,
what I encourage them to do is that you challenge them and um, the negative feedback, the negative sentences, the contrasting argument from AI is good for them so that they practice, they empower themselves, they equip themselves before they actually encounter the actual situation, and that helps a lot. So I think the basic usage is the same across everyone, that you use it for the content, the grammar checking, a lot of things. And I use a lot for my because I still speak a lot on the public speaking. So
mm,
it's very helpful for me a lot that to understand my audience. Like, and now in the past, I wouldn't be able to, or I feel that hesitate to accept the invitation for hospital or for doctors to train them on the empathy or this kind of thing. But now I feel better because before meeting them, I just mock up the training with the AI, my personal AI, and you are the if they you can personalize it, you can personalize the AI. Now you are the doctors, very mean doctor, and I'm going to teach you this. Let me know that if you understand it or not. If you how useful is it this framework to you, this kind of thing. So
mm,
it's really get me prepared now, on every level, manage my people, manage my team, and manage the interaction with the unfamiliar faces and the client. And again, I think because of the Thai culture, we cannot lose face. And we just feel very, another word in Thai is เกรงใจ. You know, the เกรงใจ.
yes, brain
We,
die.
we don't want to waste time of anyone. So especially for the older generation, we want to make sure that whenever you see me, So I do a lot of preparation before talking to you, that whether you understand me or not. But however, I'm more relaxed because you are the hybrid, the hybrid researcher between the English and the Thai. So you know the content. But I use AI a lot to prepare myself to practice and rehearse both positive and negative feedback. So I feel more that I will prepare. I feel that I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my client's time because I'm very well prepared in their context. So context, it doesn't mean only the cultural context. Context in Thai mean a lot of layers. It's not only the cultural, but the type of the generations, the type of the occupations. Even doctors and us in Thai, doctors is higher level.
Yeah, status as well, obviously
Yeah,
important in Thai
yeah, yeah.
culture. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that we have that kind of stage, the status differences. So I have to prepare that, okay, we are the same. Even for the generation, even I'm Gen X talking to Gen Y or Gen Z, I try to make sure that we are the same. We probably different in ages, but we are the same in terms of thinking. And whatever you say, I understand and I listen and give a feedback. Again, I talk to the doctors or something. We are the same. Doctors, listen to me. I'm not inferior to you. I'm well prepared. And then, once I get this kind of attitude and preparation that I'm okay, you are okay, everything is okay. Even now I'm 57, I'm still a lot of rehearsal and practices before meeting anyone. So I think AI helps a lot because you cannot practice that with your secretary or anyone else, but AI is there with you for 24 hours. And you can do a lot of scenarios that, funny scenario or negative scenario. And some kind of jokes in Thai, it makes sense, but in some kind of jokes, it doesn't make sense among doctors. Some kind of joy, it makes sense among Thai, but it doesn't make sense among Japanese. And as you know, I'm working in the Japanese company, so I have to really be sensitive of this, and AI helps. So if I
Yeah.
think if we understand how AI works, I think all of those sensitivity we can manage it and we can use it very effectively too.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on two things there that I've been thinking, sort of listening to you. And the first one is sometimes we hear this kind of, again, can be a dominant narrative, AI makes you lazy. And it can do if you use it in a certain way. If you just ask a question, you just ask a lazy question and you get an impressive sounding answer, but actually, it's very vanilla and not a lot of substance. But I think what you're saying and what you're challenging is actually AI used in the right way can help develop our thinking. So it's a tool to help us with our thought processes, help us with our critical thinking, which is very much against, as I say, what some people are saying is AI makes you lazy. So AI can make you lazy. AI can, I think, help you massively with your development by doing exactly as you've been saying, asking it to challenge you, showing not why it said what it said. Obviously, with the thinking and reasoning models now, you can actually see the sort of chain of thought process. So I'm with you that very much it's possible to use AI in a way that actually helps you and develops your ability as a researcher rather than just becomes a kind of lazy shortcut. The second thing that I haven't thought much about before, and I know it's an important, very important topic for you, which is empathy. And again, there's maybe a thought or a narrative that as we all start using AI and interacting with AI, we're losing our human ability to connect with people, and a large part of connection is of course empathy. But the way that you've described how you're using AI and how you're encouraging others to use it is actually helping you understand people better so you can have a more effective meeting and more effective communication. So it's actually enhancing your ability to be empathetic. So I think
That's true. That's true. I think with the right way of using, we connect easily more, easier than before. And I would say that AI makes me work harder than before too, because you can practice with it without any pauses. So 24 hours,
Yes.
7 days a week, this kind of thing. So it makes me think harder, but it makes my life easier in terms of execution. So in terms
Mm,
of preparation, it makes me work harder and yeah, longer hours, think harder, and have more like alternative ways of thinking. But
mm,
then on the actual presentation or the execution day, it makes my life better. I connect with people more easily and easier in terms of like I can manage the outcome. That okay, I know that they probably have seven or eight alternative solutions to this because I prepare for that. And then
mm.
you can really help the person in front of you do the work more effectively.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think particularly on the you said about, different ways to think about it. I mean, I've been thinking about this as well. My part of my educational background is social anthropology, and if I were to go back to my studies, and there's probably 10 or 20 great social anthropologists that if I had the time, I could go back and think about how their work could be used in qualitative analysis. And all that really requires is just looking at their contribution in the field, thinking about where could this be used, and then creating a fairly simple prompt for AI to actually look at, what's being said, what behaviors are being observed, whatever it is, through the lens of this anthropologist and maybe a particular framework. So I think this is where, as qualitative researchers, we can really expand, what we're doing, actually do better work because all of a sudden we've got access to everyone in the world and the way that they think about a problem, and all we need to do is bring that in prompted in the right way to our analysis, and all of a sudden we've got a perspective that we might not have thought about. So this to me is hugely exciting that this is something really positive. But I think uh, we've talked about many positives today, including the ability to create additional empathy, the ability to actually develop and sharpen your own thinking, which ultimately will give you, especially for people on their research journey, developing their skills, will help them be a lot more confident about role play, that kind of thing. So I would love to talk for longer. We're probably out of time today. It's been a really enjoyable and insightful to me conversation. I'm sure it will be to our viewers again. So thank you very much, Kum, for joining. It's a
Thank
pleasure as
you.
always. I hope to catch one of your presentations again soon. I would recommend anyone, if you see Kum name as a speaker at any conference, go and watch her. I learn something new every time. A totally, completely engaging speaker. Thanks once again.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone for listening. Any topics that anyone would like to talk about from our audience, please let me know. We're always looking for guest contributors. And with that, we'll say thanks once again, Kun Om, and bye for now.
Thank you.